Well, well, well. Bet you didn't think you were going to hear my voice. This is the Deep 2 podcast. I am by myself right now, but we're about to cut to a Zoom call that I had with Xavier Cooks. Really awesome opportunity to get to do an episode with him. Um, but I thought I'd just jump in now to do a little intro before the pod started because we have like a little general chit chat for about 4 minutes before we actually like officially get started. So this is the mini pre-introduction to just say this is the Deep 2 NBA podcast. I'm the host this week, Luke Petridis. On with me is Xavier Cooks. So enjoy the episode.
Oh, all good. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
That's good. When did you get back to Australia?
About a week ago now. But
Okay.
yeah, still pretty fresh back over here.
Are you feeling settled at all?
Something like that. Something like that. I'm about to move into an apartment in Sydney in
Mm,
about 5 days. So I'm, back and forth right now. So yeah.
true. In Chiba, were you in the same time zone?
It's about an hour difference. It's
Okay.
an hour behind from here. So
Yeah,
it's,
no
it's
shit.
pretty good though. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Have you been watching the finals?
I have, or I didn't watch today, but I have been watching the finals. I love playoff basketball. It's great. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's been good.
it's
You been
awesome, man.
watching?
Yeah, of course. First two games were pretty crazy. Like all three games have been pretty crazy for different reasons. Today was just mental, but the first two games were like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah, I mean the Porzingis effect. He came back, and that was a big effect. But I turned today's game off when they were up 20. I'm like, oh, it's over. We've turned it off. Then I checked the scores. They made like a 20-0 run and came back. It was crazy.
yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, it was 22-2 at one stage, and it was pretty interesting that Boston never gave up the scoreboard though. Like they
Yeah,
always made sure to keep hold of that.
I mean they're a championship level team. They've been here before. I mean they've been in the finals or the playoffs for the last 5 years or so. So they're experienced compared to Dallas. I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Um, what does it feel like uh to see two of your former teammates like having massive roles in the NBA finals at the Wizards with Gafford and Porzingis?
Oh, that's super cool. I mean, especially on two different teams. It shows you what different organizations can do for someone's career. I mean, and then even seeing Dante and Josh there as well.
Mm,
I think that's an awesome story as well. Just Dante coming back to the league and making it to the grand final his first year back, and Josh Green having a huge role. Playing one of the defensive lockdown players for his team, and it's been pretty cool.
mm. Yeah, man, I've been a Wizards fan for like 12-ish years now. And
Okay,
I feel like you could feel that Gafford effect as soon as he came to the team. It was like, oh, this guy's like one of the best defenders in the league, like one of the best defensive centers in the league. He
for
paired so
sure.
well with like, especially with Russ. And then, yeah, when the team was a bit better a few years ago. But then even this season, it was like, this guy's still one of those players. It's just like you can't see it as much. And then he goes to Dallas and instantly has that impact.
I mean, even late in the year last year, when I was like starting to play minutes, he was starting to be more aggressive when they shut
Mm,
down Brad, and you could just tell he was having like 20-point nights sometimes without missing a shot. You know what I mean? All like high efficient shots, and like the way he protects the rim is unbelievable. He's like
mm.
probably one of the most athletic bigs I've ever played with.
Mm. Yeah, man, he really he commits to every single play. And I think people always bring up the fouls, but it's like there's not that many bigs making a play on every single possession.
I
Like
know he's got a really high motor, a huge motor. I
mm,
mean, it makes up for him because he's kind of undersized. He's
mm,
only what 6'9", 6'10", going into Porzingis, who's 7'2",
yeah,
especially in the league where it's like, the Sabonis or the Valanciunas or those kind of big bodies. He makes up for it for his athleticism and his strengths.
yeah, definitely. I've got written down here, I have to ask you, are Porzingis and Gafford doing everything you taught them?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Sweet. Are
Um,
we started? We're not started yet, right?
oh no, we can start now. Well, how do you feel about me using that though? Because that was kind of good.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, I guess I can intro now. So you've heard me and Xavier Cooks talking for about 5-ish minutes now. This is the Deep Two podcast. Listeners, you might be a bit shocked to not hear Sean's voice, but I'm taking over this week, and to help me out, I thought I'd go to the very top. Xavier Cooks, how you going today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. And you said you've been back home for about a week now, having just spent a season in Japan. How do you go with Japanese food?
Oh, I mean, it's great food. I don't eat seafood though, so that's kind of a big adjustment. But I mean, the steaks over there is great. The ramen noodles are
True.
great. Just the quality of food's unbelievable. Like you can tell there, everything's really fresh over there, and it was great.
How do you like the lifestyle in Japan generally?
It was good. It was peaceful. It was very peaceful. I
Mm,
don't speak any Japanese, so I
right.
felt like I couldn't have to communicate as much to everybody. I didn't have as many of my friends and family over there, so it was a lot more downtime. And we played so many games. We were playing 3 games a week, so I was pretty busy with basketball. But away from that, it was great.
Yeah, and you ended up getting a championship at the end there. Did you expect that going in, or did you have a championship in mind when you flew over to Japan?
Well, we actually got the East Asia League Championship. We fell short in the B League Championship, but no, I had no idea. I mean, when I got there, we were probably 3 or 4 games below 500. We're
Okay.
sitting in like 15th spot or something like that. And then when I got there, we started to gel a little bit. And I mean, it took some time and we started to increase our pace of the game. And that really helped out a lot. Then we had some great success in the East Asia League. And even in the playoffs, we were the 8th seed. We managed to squeeze into the 8th seed. And first round, we beat the number 1 seed, sent them home. And in the second round, we had a great chance to be in the grand final. And we ended up falling short 1 game. But I'm really proud of the boys, and it was a great season.
Yeah, awesome. What do you feel like was different playing over there compared to the NBL? And like, what are you hoping to bring back? Maybe like whether it's on the court or off the court.
I mean, it's a great league over there. They have what 25 teams, so we're playing so many games and such a huge variety of teams over there, like different game styles. And you know, probably the biggest difference is their size. They play a more traditional 6-11 5-man and like a 6-9 4-man, kind of a slower paced game, and really try to compress the paint and all that kind of stuff. And we're in the NBL, we like to play fast, and a lot of our 4-men are spacers that can take it off the dribble and shoot threes and all that kind of stuff. So that's the biggest difference. I think the main thing I'm going to try and bring back to the NBL is the physicality. The B League over in Japan is very physical. You can get away with pretty much murder to get a rebound over there. So hoping to bring that back and not get too much foul trouble. So we'll see.
Yeah, not get too many over the backs in the early
Yeah,
season.
we'll see.
So would you say you were defending around the rim a little bit more than you were used to?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I've had years in the NBL where I've led the league in blocks and all that kind of stuff. So I'm used to protecting around the paint, but just defending bigger players, more traditional 5-man and that kind of stuff. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's still basketball. It's all very similar.
Yeah, true. So since you were last in the NBL, which was 15 months ago, which feels like forever ago now, you've been to the States for a stint with the Wizards. You're in the World Cup, and then yeah, Japan with the Chiba Jets. You're now gearing up for the Olympics. Brought some silverware back with you from Japan. Hopefully, you can get some before the start of the next NBL season. And you've spoken about you had quite a lot of downtime while you're in Japan. How much do you value that downtime and that kind of geographic space when you're trying to consume, all of the success that you've had in the NBL over those few seasons?
Um, to be honest, I don't really think about that kind of stuff too much. What I've done in the past is cool, but it's in the past now. I like to focus on the present and trying to focus on the future, really, just to see what else I can, put in the hardware cabinet later on in my career. But, I'm just always trying to take the daily day steps. And yeah, I don't really try to focus too much on past accomplishments.
Yeah, for sure. So right now, are you with the Boomers squad? What's the preparation like there?
Well, I've been back for about a week. Probably took about 4 or 5 days just to, hang out with my daughter and see my friends and see my
Nice.
family. And then this week I've been really ramping it back up and training with the Sydney Kings again. Well, whoever's in town, it's pretty much just me and Bull Qual. But we got Gorge now, so Gorge is working us out,
Mm.
and Gorge is a world class coach. He's been putting us through some good drills and get me ready for the Boomers camp.
Yeah, I heard or read somewhere that Gorge came over to Japan to kind of what's it called? To
Recruit,
recruit you. Recruit. Yeah, thank you.
yeah, yeah, he
To
did.
recruit you. What was that like? How much notice did you have? Like, or did you just rock up on your doorstep?
No, it all happened really fast. Like, I wasn't really thinking about next year because I was only halfway through the season in Japan. And then we'll headed to the Philippines for the East Asia finals. And then I got a call from Chris Pongrass saying like, yeah, we are gonna fly over there to see how we can discuss business. And I'm like, man, to be honest with you, I'm not really ready to discuss business right now.
Mm,
But they ended up flying over anyway, and it worked out great. For one, I had a great performance. Whenever
mm.
Gorgeous in the building, you're always going to try and put your best performance on. And then it was just great to sit down and see them again. Like it's always nice to see a familiar face when you've been gone for so long, and just to talk about basketball and just talking to Gorge and Chris made me really excited to come back to the Kings and see their vision for the future and see the way that what hasn't worked and what has worked in the past few years, and hopefully we can get some more success in the Kings.
Yeah, man. Sydney ran a really good ship. Like everything's so like state of the art. It's well resourced. They feel like they don't skip any of the steps behind the scenes so that you guys can go out there and just play. Does it feel
Oh, for
like that?
sure. For sure. It's definitely a world-class basketball organization. I've played at some high levels before, and Sydney King definitely compares to the best of them. Our resources, our fan base, just like everything about the Kings is great. Our recovery system, strength coaches, just even interns, everything's always great at
Mm.
the Kings.
I got to cover the World Cup in 2022, and I'm from Melbourne, so I don't get to go to Sydney much. But
So
the
are you a
Q
United fan?
maybe.
I'm just joking. It's all good.
I do have a soft spot for both Sydney teams. I think mainly because Courtney and Chris are just like delight to work with.
Mhm.
But the Q man, the Kudos Bank Arena holds volume like no other arena I've been to. I feel like I've been to like maybe 15 in the world. And whether the queue was like packed to the rafters 16K or if it was like 1,000, it like reverberated the sound. Yeah, no matter what. Do you feel like you have a home court advantage in that sense? Like, do you feel like teams when they come, they're not exactly prepared for it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, just the pure size of it alone is unbelievable. Sometimes it works in our advantage, sometimes it doesn't, because people are always excited to come and put on performance on in front of the queue. We have such good fan base, and I think it's a huge advantage for us because we kind of get used to playing in that kind of environment. Some people get a little bit shell shocked, but it's massive. It's something that I really appreciate. Just especially going over to Japan and playing in some of the smaller gyms, and some of the people are like,
Mm.
man, this is one of the best gyms in the B League. And I'm like, but this is nothing compared to Sydney King. This is nothing. Like, come see my house. You know what I mean? But like, it's cool. It's cool.
Um, in those discussions when Gorge came over, did the Boomers come up at all?
No, we this was a Sydney Kings trip. We
Yeah.
try to keep those two parties separate. You know what I mean? Like, this last week I've been talking to Gorge about Boomers and what I need to do to have a good camp and all those kind of things. But we try to keep those two separate, you know, parties different.
How do you feel you guys are at keeping those two separate? Because I can imagine that'd be quite tricky.
It is tricky. At the same time, we've only been together for the last week or so.
Mm.
We've been on the phone on and off for the last couple of months now, but it's difficult, especially with the Olympics coming up and this big Boomers camp, and especially with the amount of talent that's coming into this Boomers camp. It's going to be tough to make it, but we do a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, how do you feel about the Boomers heading into the World Cup? I guess, sorry, not the World Cup, the Olympics. We still don't know who two of the teams in our group will be, but Canada will be the other team, which would, that's such a great opponent. I guess, yeah, the global basketball landscape is crazy now, man. Like everyone's good. If you make the Olympics, you're going to be one of, you might have a shot at ending up on the podium. But just how do the rest of the team feel, and the rest of the Boomers feel? Yeah, with Paris 6 weeks away now.
I think excited. We've all started the preparation now, and the countdown's on, and like you said, it doesn't really matter who's going to be in our pool because at the Olympic level, everybody's unbelievable, and if you want to get that gold medal, you have to beat the best of the best anyway. So whoever comes in front of us, it's okay. We're going to try and put our best foot forward and battle with them, but we're excited. We're excited for it.
Mm. How do you feel this Boomers team would match up against Canada?
I feel strong. I feel good. They have a lot of strength, but so do we. You know what I mean? Like we grew up playing FIBA basketball. We have a lot of
Mm.
guys that are real defensive minded that we want to play a fast pace. We play together, and they used to play in an NBA style, and they haven't really been together for so long. Like we have some continuity of our older guys, and we've got a bunch of younger guys coming through too. But we adapt quickly, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I feel like that defensive mindedness is always has just always been the case with any Australian basketballer. They'll take it to any league in the world. It'll always be like the annoying Aussie that's just like up in your grill. Delhi's probably the best example of it on a
For
the biggest
sure.
scale against Steph Curry in the finals a few years ago. Um, What do you feel like drives that culture of having such a strong defensive system, but then also such strong individual defenders?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. Our upbringing is taught us to be tough. We know that that's our role on teams is to bring that toughness and bring that, you know, take pride on that end of the court. But we also have at a young age, we learn the fundamentals of defense really well. Get the old-fashioned pistols out, all that kind of fun
Mm.
stuff. But I think the main thing is just pride. As Australians, we take pride on playing defense and doing the dirty work and the hard work, and yeah, it pays the bills too. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure. I remember seeing a clip of Gina Auriemma, the Yukon coach. He was talking about how in the States, it's the culture of basketball has changed as to where you're playing 6 games a week and you're training once a week. Whereas in Europe, and I'm sure we can throw Australia in there as well, but you're playing once a week and you're training 6 times a week. Can you speak to that? Is how true is he there? Is he pretty close?
Well, I can't really talk about America too much. I mean, I went to college over there and played a little bit in the league, but I'm not sure about their high school system. But
Right.
we definitely do. Even in the NBA, only play 28 games, and we're probably doing 100 practices in those for those 28 games, and I love it. I mean, I love it. I feel like you really get better at practice. You can really push yourself, and in games, you're pushing yourself, but sometimes you're scared to make mistakes. You're trying to put your best foot out there. Whereas in a practice behind closed doors, you can work on some stuff. You can do stuff you've never done before, just try and improve your game, and that's what it's about. But especially in Europe as well, it's all about practice. That's how you get better.
Yeah, definitely. What are you trying to add to your game going into the next, let's say, 12 months of basketball?
I think shooting's probably the biggest one. I think that can really help my game develop to the next level. I'm a pretty good driver at getting downhill and creating for others and creating for myself, but being able to shoot the ball really opens up the court and makes the game a lot easier for myself. So that's probably the biggest thing. And then continue to be dynamic and be, versatile with my skill set. Be a bit of a. I've always said a tweener. I'm a
Mm,
four man, but I can play with three or two man skills and with my ball handling and that kind of stuff. But I think the main thing is just shooting.
definitely. And yeah, you're like an unbelievable athlete. You seem to be on the end of a lot of lobs or just dunks. Uh, from your perspective, do you feel like what in the equation of a lob, what do you feel like is more important, the finisher or the passer?
Definitely. It depends who you're throwing to. If you're throwing to Daniel Gafford, anyone can pass that. But if you're throwing to me, I need that ball in a good spot. So probably the passer. It's tough for the passer. Like, you got to have the timing right, the location of the pass. You kind of got to time up their steps as well a little bit. But
True.
it also depends on how athletic we're talking. We're not. Yeah, probably the passer has the harder role.
Okay, gotcha. Back to the Wizards for a second. I have to ask because I love this guy so much. But what's Corey Kispert like, and what's it like to go to practice with a guy that can shoot the ball like that?
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man. He's such a good guy. I mean, everyone that's coming past with Corey loves him. He's such a good guy. He's so genuine, and he's an absolute sniper. Absolute sniper. And his game has really developed in the last couple of years too. Like this year, he probably had more dunks than I've ever seen him before. What I mean, he was getting downhill, looking athletic again, and yeah, I think he's a world class shooter, and he's a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, he also like doesn't mind dunking on someone. Like it
I
might happen
know,
once or twice or 3 times a season, but he does it.
I know, and he gets up there on the dunks too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's maybe one of the things I like so much about him is that like he's just adding to his game, even though he has this like deadly skill, I feel like he's become a better finisher. Um,
Sure.
when you're
And
going
his
to
style. Have you seen his style? You follow him on
his style.
Instagram? He's
Oh,
fresh. He's always
you
fresh.
like it? You're into that?
Yeah, yeah, he's fresh.
What's it like when you're part of a team, developing with one of those younger guys who is like, hungry, making their name in whatever the league may be? Yeah, what's it like developing alongside someone that wants to add a skill to their bag, let's say?
Um, what's it like? I mean, to be honest with you, at every level, everyone is still always trying to develop and get better. There's no
Right.
stage in your career where you feel like, yep, I've done it. I'm perfect. I mean, no one's perfect in basketball. There's always something you can work on. So it's not just the younger guy. That's everybody that's trying to develop. And as a bit of I wouldn't say the older guy at Sydney, but one of the guys who's been around for a little while now. It's also awesome to help them. You know what I mean? In some aspects, some guys want to get better at driving. I can really help them with that, or they're finishing around the rim. it's awesome to be able to help somebody out and develop their game because they can always. It's always better to hear from someone that's on the court than from someone that's just on the sidelines or one of those, not. I mean, those Instagram coaches. Not, I mean, I don't mean the real NBL coaches. Those,
Yeah.
those Instagram trainers and that kind of stuff that never really played high level basketball. It's always nice to get it from an actual basketball player.
Yeah, wear these slippery gloves and you'll get better at dribbling.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
I'm
Yeah,
not gonna wear slippery gloves in a game.
it's crazy.
Um, how did living in Washington compare to living in Sydney? Were there many similarities?
Um, Probably one of the similarities. I have family in DC. I have
Oh, cool.
my dad's family lives in DC, so it's always nice to go get a home cooked meal. But that's about where the similarities end because
Right.
in Sydney I've got so many friends and family, and my daughter's here and all that
Mm.
kind of stuff. And I've always got something to do over here. And whereas DC, I was kind of when you first come to a city, you don't really know what to do and what options you can do for the day. And it was a bit of an adjustment, that's for sure.
Yeah, and DC, it's I assume there'd be a lot of suits, like suits walking around and stuff.
Oh, like yeah, for sure. Government.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that. Yeah.
That'd be a bit of a shock. I mean, Sydney, I feel like Sydney is quite, pretty spread out, but there's a flavor for everything. But I feel like if you were just faced with that like over and over, it'd
All
be
the
like,
time. I mean, the coolest thing about DC was all the like the museums and the monuments, and it's got a lot of that kind of cool stuff with the history of DC, which I really enjoyed. And
mm,
yeah, that's what I pretty much did most of my time on, was just seeing all the museums and stuff.
yeah, cool. Do you have any memories from the NBA that stand out or experiences?
Yeah. I mean, a few. I think that probably the first game ever checking in. I was playing in a grand final in the NBL 2 days earlier. I fly to DC and I'm in a game, and not knowing anyone's names, really being tired from jet lag and just being at the whole whirlwind of things. And that was a pretty crazy experience. And then another one will probably be when I like later in the year when we played the Bucks and we started resting our guys. I think I played like 35 minutes against Giannis, was in my opinion one of the best players in the world, and has a pretty similar game style, just better at everything than I am. But he's a downhill driver that's athletic and likes to get on the rim, create for others. And it's awesome just to see what the next step looks like, what the best of the best looks like, and just to watch his pre-game routine and what his preparations like, and just to see the pure size of the man. He's huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so funny. Um, yeah, it was a Wednesday night. You won the the NBL Grand
Whoa,
Final. Sorry,
whoa,
sorry, sorry.
yeah,
I had W in mind because you won the Grand Final.
yeah.
The NBL Grand Final, and then Sunday Arvo in the Australian Eastern Time Zone, which is now your Saturday night. You're checking
Mhm.
into an NBA game, so that would have just been like shell shock.
It was crazy. It was so crazy. Like I wasn't sure if I was going to even suit up that game because I hadn't really passed the medical fully. I got my response from the medical yet, but they said we'll just put you in suit up close, see what happens. And the next thing you'll hear is X, you're in. I'm like, me? Sure. I said, just go out there and have fun. And that's what I did. I had some fun.
Yeah. And coming up against Giannis, was it like, I got nothing to lose, let me throw everything out there? It was like, ah shit, I'm coming up against Giannis.
Oh, there was nothing to lose. I mean, at
Yeah.
that point in the year, we weren't going to make the playoffs, and it was just about experience for me. And I absolutely loved it. I got dominated. I think I only
Mm.
had like 10 points. He might have had 30, but like it was just such a cool experience. It's someone that I've looked up to and idolized for so long. And just, I really love his journey to the NBA, and to be able to be on the same court with him, competing against him was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Winding back to the World Cup from last year, what do you, or what was the feeling among the boomers, as to why maybe we didn't finish on the podium?
Um, I think it's a bit of a mixture of things. Our defense really took a huge dip. I think when you look at when they got the bronze medal, I think we were like top two in defensive transition, and then we look at this World Cup, we were like one of the bottom teams, and that's a kind of an effort thing to me. So I think
Yeah.
defensive energy dropped off a little bit, and it also came with a little bit of change in identity. We're losing some of the Bainesies and the Bogues of the world, and we're bringing a lot of the younger guys, and we're kind of putting the ball in Giddy's hand a lot. And for his first World Cup, that's kind of tough for him to be his first World Cup and be our primary ball handler. And I think there's a multiple things, but the way we look at the World Cup, it was just that's halftime. That the full time score is the Olympics, and that's
Mm.
kind of a preparation for the Olympics. And you know, the results weren't great, but I mean, you learn for those kind of things, and you learn from your mistakes, and it's how you get better.
Yeah. So, what are some of those lessons going into the Olympics? Let's say we are at halftime. What are the adjustments to make for the second half?
In my opinion, defensive transition, effort on defense, probably rebounding, and I think the offense will take care of itself. We play good defense and get out and run. Um, I think that's probably our biggest strength is probably playing in transition because we're a little bit more undersized than a lot of the traditional big men. So our strength is getting out and run, spacing the court, and I mean, you can score a lot of points in transition if you get a lot of stops and can rebound the ball. So I think that's going to be our mindset going into this Olympics.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, you said it. Maybe it was in an earlier response, but kind of a changing of the guard as well. Um, Although Patty Mills seems to be training harder than ever has on his Instagram. How much are you in contact with, yeah, those ex players, those ex bigs like Bogut and Baines and stuff?
I mean, every now and then. When I was in the NBL, obviously Baines was to catch up when Baines was here, and Bogues is a part owner of the Kings, so that's always
Mm.
pretty much talking to Bogues a fair bit. But that's usually about King stuff. But yeah, to be honest with you, not too much, not too much. I'm just I try to. Depends on what time of year it is. I've been in contact lately with Luke Longley and those kind of guys just to pick his brain on a couple of things about the Boomers camp coming up, and yeah.
Oh man, have you got any nuggets from Luke Longley? It'd be so interesting to see what like how he played in the 90s translates to the way you guys are playing today, you specifically.
Oh, I mean, Luke Longley is the man. He's always got unbelievable wisdom to give to you, and his best trait, he can really relate to anybody.
Mm.
So yeah, he's a great guy, but I don't really have any nuggets to share with you right now. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. That's so interesting. A guy that's like 7'2", finding a way to be able to relate to people. Like
Oh,
what the
he's
hell?
awesome. He's awesome.
Three-time NBA champion as well. X-Men, I think I I blended all my questions all together. I think that's everything I had actually, man. But that was gold.
Yeah, all good, bro. All good. I appreciate this. It's good fun.
Yeah, thanks so much, bro. I'll see you. I might see you at Hoops Fest. Hopefully, I'll be working for the NBL or the WNBL.
Sounds good. Look forward to it, man.
See you, bro.
See you, bro.
Bye.